What's the old adage in golf? Either be good and fast, good and slow, or be bad and fast. This was bad and fast.
Yeah.
We'll say that much about the Carolina Panthers and the Washington Commanders, who lose, at least in name, the headline on this matchup. Jayden Daniels exiting this game in the first half with a rib injury, did not return because he did not need to return. The Commanders in a runaway, 421 yards of total offense led by Marcus Mariota in their win over the Panthers. Joe Musso alongside Douzable and Duz. This is a learning experience on one side for Washington, what they can be beyond Jayden Daniels.
Yeah.
And on the other side of it, I don't know what you take away if you're the Carolina Panthers. Let's start with the good here and what Washington was able to accomplish even past Daniels' exit.
Yeah, over 200 yards rushing. Jayden Daniels added 50 to that earlier in the game, had an explosive run on a keeper. But what I really loved was what I saw from Marcus Mariota. Moose, you know this. How many backup quarterbacks had to come in last year and take their teams potentially to the playoffs? We saw the Cleveland Browns do it. We saw Gardner Minshew take over for the Indianapolis Colts, have them one game away from the playoffs. So anytime your backup is thrust into action, it's always good when he goes out and he's efficient with the football. It's almost like we were watching Marcus Mariota from his Oregon days. He was efficient with the football, very mobile, picked up a couple first downs with his legs. So if you're Cliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn, you hate that Jayden Daniels got banged up, but you love what you saw from your backup quarterback.
Yeah, we said it upstairs, that show it and throw it that Washington's running for their young quarterback, similar to the flash and dash of Oregon days. Marcus Mariota fitting right into the situation in this instance. On Carolina's side, just in a couple words here, Duz, what do you take away from this one? Is it time for Bryce Young to come back in?
He actually came back in late in the game. I was surprised they took so long to get him in the game. And I think it is time that they give him another bite at the apple. I thought it was premature that they took him out of the starting lineup so early, but they really struggled on that side with Andy Dalton, a pick six, another interception in that game. I think it's time they go back to the young buck.
We'll see what it looks like moving forward as we take a look at some numbers out of this one. The Commanders' largest wins since 2000. You may have been expecting to see this full screen, but led by Jayden Daniels, it's not the reality to the expectation, but the outcome is the outcome, and Washington moving forward with a win. You know, they say ball security is job security, and he is our long-tenured voice of reason. Charles Davis joining us from this matchup. Charles, you see any good movies lately? No, in all seriousness, let's start with the Jayden Daniels news here, because we watch him leave the game, and it changes the air in the room, but it did not change what this offense was capable of doing. How did the building process that series of time, him leaving the game to him returning in street clothes?
Well, I think you encapsulated it, Joe. You know, the air left, like, oh my goodness, what's happened to our guy? Because he's quickly become the face of this franchise. But then you have to transition, because we know that, guess what? Football's Darwinian. It's survival of the fittest. Who's ready to go at that time? Marcus Mariota came in, missed his first 3 passes. You could see a little rust. You could see the timing was off, because you don't get to work with the first unit. As a backup quarterback, that's kind of that dirty secret that Leger knows about in the league, right? The second team guy doesn't get reps, all right? Especially if you've got a dominant first guy. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, all those guys, if the second guy ever stepped in, there'd be heck to pay. Get out, not yours. Now he had to adjust, and you saw him adjust during the game. But I think it's smart on Washington. Adam Peters, the general manager. Dan Quinn, the head coach. If Jayden Daniels is going to be your quarterback, to have a similar skill set guy behind him who can mentor him, and if he has to play, take up the playbook and run a lot of the things that they do, well, they got that, because I said it during the game, and I'll stop here. If you take the scouting evaluations coming out of Marcus Mariota, Heisman winner at Oregon, Jayden Daniels, Heisman winner at LSU, and you take the names and redact them, you're going to find a lot of similarities through there, and we saw that in this ball game.
Definitely a thoughtfulness in which they constructed this quarterback room, and the light of Jayden Daniels has shined bright early in this season, and maybe, how we say, cast a shadow. Sometimes the light can be blinding. What did you see of this Washington team in his absence? Where should we be garnering praise on this day in the absence of Daniels?
This is a very confident football team. Their confidence has risen as the season has gone on, because they've had things to affirm and confirm what Dan Quinn has been telling them and teaching them, he and his staff. They've been telling them we can be a good football team. They've told them and showed them on tape, hey, if we do these things, we can beat people. Well, guess what? They're getting confirmation along the way. A 4-game winning streak. It gets snapped by a tough game against Baltimore. They bounce right back against a team that they should have handled, and boy, did they handle them in a big way. And to me, that tells me more about a team that's growing than maybe them upsetting someone who's so-called better. You start by taking care of the business you're supposed to take care of. And Washington did that in a strong way today. So now this team truly believes. So when they punch what we would consider above their weight class, last week against Baltimore, for example, they punched pretty effectively. They ended up losing that game by a touchdown, but they were in it almost the entire way. So now they feel like, okay, let's bring it on. And this team knows, okay, our leader's not in. We can rely on our backup, and not only that, offensive line played well. We'll run the football. Cliff Kingsbury's the offensive play caller, adapted to Marcus Mariota, and the defense played awfully well.
We are now in line for a meeting of 1 and 2, pending the health of Jayden Daniels in Week 8. The Bears and the Commanders in that building on CBS. Let's turn to the other sideline in this one, and I don't know where to turn next, Charles. Where would you say you go from here? You think you're at rock bottom if you're Carolina, and you continue to find a new base into that foundation. What's the next move, as they do have a number 1 of their own sitting on the sideline?
Yeah, they certainly do, and they gave up a ton of draft capital in order to get him, right? And guys who are doing well at other places. Chicago is going to come in to play against Washington. They played against Chicago not long ago, and that was all they talked about in the Carolina press. This guy would have been with us. That guy could have been with us, blah, 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 blah. Here's how I look at it. I think Carolina has a plan and how they're utilizing Bryce Young. I think they have a plan and what they're doing with him in practices right now to try and get his confidence back, to try and let him run some offense, to try and get him back to where they can put him on the field. I believe they have a plan about when they want to bring him back. All I'm going to say is, whatever that plan involves, to me, it involves him playing significant, meaningful football down the stretch. General Manager Dan Morgan's got to know at the end of this season what direction he needs to head with Bryce Young. Can he be our quarterback for the future? Are we going to have to try and deal him? Is he not going to be our guy? Do I have to draft another one and go into the quarterback evaluation business? If they don't play X number of games down the stretch where he's a starter and takes every snap, faces every situation, then I think that they're not doing him or the organization a good service. I believe Carolina has a plan. They're just smart enough not to reveal it to us so that we don't keep pressing them on it. So when you bring him back, what game is it going to be? What date is he going? Is he going to take every snap? I think it's very smart on them, but they have to prove it and reveal down the stretch. And to me, that's the last 6-7 games of this season where he takes the ball from his first snap and runs with it.
A plan in place. This Sunday certainly did not go according to plan, but you got to put the ball in the hands of your playmakers, and that is why I always turn to our Charles Davis here on Sundays. Thank you, CD.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
The great Charles Davis weighing in from a lopsided outcome there in Washington despite the loss of the 2nd overall pick, their star quarterback Jayden Daniels. It is a lopsided winner over what has become the butt end of the joke here in the NFL, the Carolina Panthers, despite turning to Andy Dalton and getting that, if I may, dead cat bounce in the first week. It has been nothing since. Perhaps time to turn back to last year's 1st overall pick.